All right, guys, welcome in. I'm as well as I can be. I am sick. Holy mackerel. But today is an important day. So I am not in a hoodie. I apologize. You will soon understand in a few minutes why I am not in a hoodie. It has nothing to do with me being sick. There's a particular reason I'm not in a hoodie. But when I get there, you'll understand why. But I did not feel like today was a day I could miss for a couple reasons. One is last night, I had a very serious conversation about this case. And, sometimes you realize you have half of a story and someone else has half of a story, and you don't know the other person has the other half. And then you get to talking and you're just, sort of working your way through a story, and you realize, holy mackerel, if I show this and you show that, I think we have a big component of the story, and neither of us were aware of it. So spoke with Candace last night for a very long time. I want to be very clear about something. Nobody's gatekeeping anything. Nobody's gatekeeping anything. I've been watching X here the last couple of hours since Candace kicked off her show two or 3 hours ago, and the haters are out in full force. That's to be expected. That's normal. The haters are out in full force, and the reason is because I don't think we've ever been closer to verifying a key component of this story. Period. Several months ago, 6 or 7 months ago, I came into possession of a photograph, and it was not one that was part of the publicly released photographs to that point. And I described it to the audience when I got it. But I was given explicit instructions from the source, and you guys may not understand how this works, but if you want people to give you information, sometimes it comes with conditions. So if, I'll pull up a random person here. This is Beth Paris. Beth Paris. If Beth comes to me and says, hey, humble host, I have a story, but you can't share it. But if you can somehow use it to get some more information or to help put pieces together in your head, I'd like you to at least be aware it happened. But you may not even talk about it. You can't reveal to anyone that you've talked to somebody who's explained these things. You can't reveal to anyone that you've had a conversation with anyone at all on this topic. Let's say it's, I saw somebody running across the Losi Center roof. And this is the time they ran across, and I happened to capture a picture of it. Here's the picture. But I don't want you to use it in any capacity. You accept that information on those terms. And if you're a person of integrity, you obey those terms. You obey the terms. I've lived my life keeping secrets. That's just the nature of what I do. I'm a lawyer. Somewhere over there's an oath on my wall over there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's over here. Is the oath I took to be part of the Florida bar in 2007. And one of those is you keep your client's secrets. So I've kept my client's secrets for the better part of 20 years. I was first licensed to practice law in August or September of 2006. First practiced law in Florida in 2007, April of 2007. Finally licensed in Tennessee here in the last few years. I'm not even sure what year that was. But you keep your client's secrets. I've had clients tell me, look, I committed the crime, but I don't want to go to prison. Okay, well, let's offer the best defense we can do within the confines of the law, within the bounds of the law. And so you come up with a defense. Maybe your client doesn't testify, because if he testifies and he's honest, he's going to admit he did it. So maybe he doesn't testify. Or maybe he does testify, but he's very cautious about what he says, not to lie, but to make the other side draw it out of him, whatever it is. But as the lawyer, you're not allowed to tell anyone your client did it. I've never told Mrs. Coleman that. I've never told anyone some of the things my clients have told me, because I am bound to secrecy. I honor sources the same way. I received this photo with the idea, or with the understanding, the limitation, the guards. You may describe the picture, you may not show the picture. And there were particular reasons why. And he did not want me to explain why I could not show the picture, and that's fine. I honored it. And so I did describe the picture, and what I described was what I would call like negative space. There's damage to the chest, or there are marks around the chest. But there's clear negative space in that. I'll pull her comment down. There's clear negative space in that area there. And I described that. I described what I saw. I've since gotten permission to show a part of the photograph, and I did that today on X. And I refer you to my X account at Baron Coleman, because unfortunately YouTube rules are not going to allow me to show it on camera today. So if you want to see it and know what I'm talking about, you have to go to the X post, x.com/Baron Coleman, and you'll see it there. Baron with 1 R, Coleman. And we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. But I honored the condition. And so I clipped it down to what he told me I could share, and I shared it today because I now have permission to do that. The idea that is somehow considered gatekeeping is ludicrous, right? It's ludicrous. There's also another reason why you might not show everything you have. And I've talked to several podcasters who are holding additional material, and they might not be showing everybody what they have because they're letting people walk into it. They're letting you give enough, they respond, and in their response, you allow them, you're setting a trap. I'll give you a very famous example. James O'Keefe is an investigative reporter. He used to run a nonprofit called Project Veritas. I think he runs something now called like James O'Keefe Network or something. I'm not sure what it is. Very smart guy, very capable investigator, great journalist. And he has made a career out of going undercover and getting people to say things that they wouldn't ordinarily say. And then he publishes that stuff. He's done a great job with it. He's probably the best, but he made his name on a story called the Acorn Story. I don't know if you guys remember the Acorn Story. I actually have it lined up and outlined to do an open one day. Maybe I'll still do it, but I want to talk about it briefly right now. There was a nonprofit called Acorn. And what Acorn would do is they would help minors get illegal abortions. I don't think I'm mischaracterizing that. If I am, I apologize. I'm not trying to. But he went undercover and he showed where they were doing this in at least one occasion. And he released it. And instantly the organization came out and said, "Oh, no. We're not doing it all over. That's just that one location. They went rogue." Okay. So about a week later, he drops another location. "Oh, no. This isn't a company-wide policy. That's just another rogue location. We didn't know they were doing that." And then he dropped another one and another one and another one. And what he eventually showed is it was, in fact, a widespread practice within this organization. And he took Acorn down. He got federal funding stripped from Acorn. They became associated with, sort of in the public vernacular. If you talk about Acorn, it's sort of a joke of an organization. They might be doing fine stuff now. I have no idea what they're doing. I haven't followed them in 15 years. But had he released everything he had on day one, they wouldn't have walked into the story. So what he did was, and he consulted with a guy named Andrew Breitbart. I don't know if you guys remember Andrew Breitbart. He was sort of a gonzo journalist himself. And he went to Breitbart and he said, "Hey, I have this story on Acorn. I have all these 10 things. We're going to take down Acorn." He said, No. We're not going to take down Acorn. You never do things for one reason. Yes, we're going to take down Acorn, but we're going to take down the media. And so what he did was he put out the single Acorn story and he let all the media come to the defense of Acorn. And then once the media had come to the defense of Acorn, then he showed time and time again all the instances where this was a widespread practice, and the media lost a tremendous amount of credibility because it became obvious they weren't in search of the truth. They weren't reporting what happened. They were just trying to cover for a political position. That's all they were doing. And when I was talking to Candace last night, she shared with me that she was doing the same thing. That there were some images that she had in her possession that she had released. And they showed a few pieces of those black flecks around the SUV that I don't think I'm sharing anything she didn't want me to share. If so, I apologize, Principal. But they showed a few images of the black flecks around the SUV, and she rightly identified that as glass, what looked like a broken Rode microphone. You could even see the white paint on it. I'll show you an example of it right here. Here's a Rode microphone. You can see the white paint on it. You can see there's different white images around this, and it's all covered in some sort of a tempered glass. You can see it shining off the studio lights in the background. And it's a lot of it. It's a lot of it. And so she allowed everyone to come to the defense and act like she was crazy. Oh, that's not tempered glass. That's not black glass. That's so stupid. That Candace, she just makes stuff up. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And so I kind of said, hey, it's time. You're going on vacation for a couple weeks. It's time. It's time to drop the hammer on all these trolls. Time to drop the hammer on Gary Meltdown. It's time to drop the hammer on Lisa Knows Nothing. It's time to drop the hammer on, Mohawk Allen. It's time to drop the hammer on these people, because what they're doing is the equivalent of what the media did in the Acorn story. They're just coming to the defense of a political position that they prefer. I'm now convinced there are only two classes of people who believe Tyler Robinson planned and executed Charlie Kirk alone from the Losi Center roof with a granddad's 30-06. There are only two classes of people. One is people who pay no attention. They've been told that on the media. They accepted it, and they moved on. They do other stuff. They take their kids to volleyball practice. Maybe they coach a softball league. Maybe they coach their termite league football, peewee football. 5, 6, 8-year-olds playing tackle football. Maybe they have a job where they work 75 hours a week. Unfortunately, in this economy, that's increasingly common. You have a job, and then you have a second job, and then you run Uber Eats in the evening. And I know a lot of people this way. This is what they do, because it's a very expensive economy. It's a very expensive time to be alive. And they just don't have time to investigate the Charlie Kirk assassination. So they hear on Fox News that Tyler Robinson did it, and they just accept it. So that's kind of class one. The only other class of people who believe Tyler Robinson solely planned and executed Charlie Kirk from the Losi Center with granddad's 30-06 are people who politically support TPUSA and our greatest ally. That's it. That's it. Every other person believes there's something wrong with this story. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But those people who do pay attention, who know better, immediately came to the defense of TPUSA and said, that's not broken glass. That's something else. We don't know what that is. You guys are just making stuff up. And so I said, you know what? It's time. Go ahead and drop the hammer on them. You're going to be gone for a couple of weeks. That gives everyone 2 weeks to come forward. And then we looked at some pictures. And I saw in one of the pictures a missing piece to the picture I've been holding on to. I'll show you that tonight. I saw in one of those pictures a missing piece of the evidence I've been holding on to and have not had permission to share to this point. I only describe, not share. And that was a singed material, a burned piece of material. Because when I have my picture that is available on x.com, you can go look at it. What you see is a piece of Charlie's body that's about this big that is undamaged. And that piece was right here on his body. Right here on his body. There's a piece on his body. The corner is to his right nipple, and then it goes back and down a couple of inches and then forward 2 or 3 inches and then back up. And it is plain as day. It looks like there was an adhesive something or something taped to his body in that location, and all around it is damage. It's damage. Skin damage. Is it smeared blood? I don't know what it is, but it is damage. It looks like burns to me. I don't think blood would dry that quickly. Maybe some of it is blood mixed in with some of the other stuff. But it's clear whatever happened here, you have above it a big thing of red. You have behind it a thing of red. It almost looks like a sunburn. And you have below it a thing of red that looks kind of like splotchy sunburn. It looks like burned skin to me. And so I'm going to tell you tonight what I think it was. It's the missing piece that I've not had is what was right there. Was he recovering from some sort of rib injury and had a lidocaine patch? I actually have one of those here. The lidocaine patch. It's fuzzy on one side, slick on the other. This side, if you pull this adhesive off, this plastic sheath on the back, it's sticky and it's got a medicine in it. I've used these on my shoulder. I have a bad shoulder, and I will put these right here, and they will help soothe the shoulder. The skin will absorb that lidocaine. And so I don't know, did he have a broken rib and he had a lidocaine patch right there? But if so, why did they take it off? This had to be taken off while he was under the table. And the reason I say that is because the picture I have, the metadata says it was about 24 to 26 seconds after the Big Bang. If you remember, after the Big Bang, Charlie goes down. Everybody's behind the table and they're doing stuff. Everybody's grabbing. They actually lift Charlie's arm up at one point. No idea what they're doing under there. Arm comes back down. Maybe in the coming days or weeks, we'll go over some of that footage. That arm comes down, and then they carry him off. And when they carry him off, his shirt is kind of rolled up here. And they're holding on to that shirt with their hands. They're not supporting his head. His head is dangling at an angle I cannot make my neck do. Like it's kind of like upside down. The image I have shows his face and his head and his neck, and that's why I was asked not to show the picture, because I do think that picture would be traumatic to his family. I genuinely do. He looks dead. And his neck is being held in such a position that I just am shocked, frankly, shocked that these sons of biscuits did not protect his head and neck as they were carrying him off and chucking him into an SUV like a side of beef. But I could not get over, if you've got the picture up on another image, if you've got it up on another computer or a phone or something, and you're looking at this image, I could not get over what I call that negative space. The negative space is some sort of adhesive or some sort of device that was right here under his right nipple. And I'm going to tell you tonight in just a second what I think it was. What I think was right there. I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. But I think it was one of these. When you have one of these and you're broadcasting from it, I'm going to broadcast from it now for just a moment so you guys can hear what it sounds like. I'm going to switch from my regular mic to the Rode Go wireless mic. That's what I'm broadcasting from now. It's in here. You can't see it, but it is in here. It's clipped with the black magnet that you guys see on Charlie's shirt. I have no idea what I sound like right now. The microphone is on the inside of my shirt. The magnet is on the outside of my shirt. This is the setup he had. Now, in order to operate this mic to a computer, in order to operate this mic into a computer, I'm going to flip back to my regular mic because you guys say it sounds like crap. There, back on the regular mic. In order to operate this microphone, this is the mic. You can see it's on, lights on. In order to operate this microphone to a computer to capture audio on a computer in real time, it has to have one of these. You'll see this is on. This is the receiver for the audio. You can see it's connected to my computer right now with a cord, a C2C connection. Doing this means my Rode microphone is attached to my computer. It's recording locally to my computer. I mean, it's not recording locally. It's recording to my computer. You guys that are complaining about the audio being under the shirt, that ought to tell you why what they were doing with Charlie Kirk was not correct. It ought to tell you that them putting that microphone on under his shirt is not a way to capture good audio. And there might have been some other reason they were recording that way. I don't know what it was. But this thing right here normally is connected to a camera or a computer. But if you are Charlie Kirk and you don't know much about microphones and audio and all that, I can see someone convincing you that having this thing attached under your shirt right here is some new thing we're trying. We're going to capture audio differently. We're going to capture this audio differently. And it's just under your shirt right here. It's just under your shirt right here. What you'll notice is these things are constructed the same. They have the same glass tempered finish. They're the same size. They have the same sides. They have the same back. So if one of these was destroyed, you wouldn't know which one it is. You'd have no idea. Is it the Rode microphone that was up here under his shirt? Or is it something that was down here under his right nipple? And when we go back and watch the footage of Charlie being, I'm going to put these, this is how they're stored. This is how the new version is stored. They're stored on this little USB tree. When we go watch the video footage of Charlie being taken down, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, 0% doubt in my mind that something under his shirt went crazy. Shirts don't act like that in response to a 30-06 round to the neck. They just don't. Period. End of story. They never will act like that. But what about this? What about this? If you have your transmitter or your receiver, excuse me, and it's somehow attached to this and it makes a big bang or it explodes or it has some sort of directional charge. I prefer directional charge from shape charge. Shape charge has a specific meaning that I don't think applies here, but I think directional charge is very accurate. And it explodes and it's gone and it's broken. You can see in the video footage a microphone looking thing fall down into his shirt. You can also see the magnet stays put on his neck up here. And so what you end up with is TPUSA saying, no, his microphone didn't explode. The microphone on his neck? No. It didn't explode at all. It remained whole up here. But you still have a source of this black tempered glass. And you have it all inside of his shirt. You notice after the event, a lot of people were walking around looking all over the ground underneath the tent. You notice they immediately dug up 10 inches of dirt all around the area. They blocked it off so no one could walk there, and then they dug up 10 inches of dirt and moved it out of the way and put down concrete pavers. In the dead of night, well, I say dead of night, over the weekend in Utah, which is essentially the dead of night, right? Sunday in Utah, not a lot of activities happening. And I think that's precisely what happened. If you look at the image that I posted on X today that I cannot show on YouTube, I'm sorry, I just cannot. But if you look at that image, you'll see something about this big was covering his chest. And it would have been a perfect place to mount something this big on top of it. It'd have been a perfect place to mount something that big on top of it. Now, when something that big comes from right here and it explodes or it sends a directional charge, a directional explosion, I think it hit his necklace. I think it came out and it hit his necklace and sent his necklace up at a very high rate of speed. I have reason to believe that the charge itself was not PETN, but that it was C4. If it was related to the AES plant explosion, and I don't know that it was, but if it was, it would have been C4, not PETN. And I'll explain next week why I believe that. We have documentation to support that. Absolutely have documentation to support that if it was related to AES, if it was related to that August 25th delivery of some sort of anti-personnel, extra small, anti-personnel demolition device, that it is a C4 order, not a PETN order. C4 is made from something called RDX. It's an explosive. They mix it with some plasticizers, and you can mold it to go in any direction you want. This is something they use in demolitions all the time. They'll mold the C4 around the joints of a piece of steel, for example. It's very stable. You can shoot C4 with a gun, and it will not explode. You can throw it into a fireplace with a burning fire, and it will not explode. In order for C4 to explode, it has to have an electric charge. An electric charge has to put a certain pulse into the C4, and that C4, in response to that shock wave, will then explode. It'll detonate. I don't know what that electric charge would have been in this situation. I don't know. Again, I'm not 100% sure it was C4 or PETN. But if you look at the image I posted today on X, there is no doubt in my mind, 0% doubt in my mind whatsoever that he had something taped or adhesive, some sort of affixed to his body. Something about this big. Now, I'm going to show you a couple pictures. This is going to be a little different show than I normally do. I'm going to show you a picture of why I think it's that big. This is the first picture. This is the first picture. This is what I'm talking about right here. This right here, you can see has charred edges. This looks like charred edges. Some sort of metallic something that looks burned. This thing looks burned. It's blackened. It's charred. It has some blood on it. But if it was stuck to the body from behind, then all this would roll over the top of it, and it would create that effect I'm talking about. It would roll over the top. All that blood and stuff would roll over the top of this, and the body itself would not get bloody. It would not get burned. It would not get charred because the body itself is protected. The body itself is protected from that. And if you look at the picture I posted on X, you'll see precisely what I'm talking about. Now, let me go back to this for a second, and I'll tell you why I know it's that big. A lot of people, I watched Candace today. She did an excellent job, but a lot of people were speculating it might be a T-shirt or something that was burned. I can tell you for a fact it's not that big. First, that's the entry of the door. And you can even see a little piece of the black stuff right there. But that's the entry to the door right there. That entry to the door, is only a few inches, and this is smaller than that. But I want you to look at this right here. That's one of these. This is a pulse ox. I want you to look at the size of the pulse ox compared to the size of the negative space on Charlie. They're about the same, right? They're about the same size. So if you go back and look at this piece of charred material, whatever this is, and you look at it relative to this pulse ox machine, they're about the same size. But this has been folded up a little bit, probably had some adhesive on it, probably was a little bit malleable. It was able to be bent. And so as they rip it off of his body, that's the condition it comes out in. It looks a little bit like this. But you can see it's about the same size, give or take. But it's these chars, even with the little pieces of black in it. You can see right here, for example, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but I'm like maybe a third of the way up in the middle. You can see a little piece of that charred plastic right there. You can see another little piece over here beside it, right here. You can see two little metal pieces, look like little metal wire clips or something, little holders. That makes a lot of sense if you're talking about explosives. You would need some sort of metal to conduct the charge. But to me, these are about the same size. And again, if you go back and look at the negative space on Charlie's body, they're about the same size. Now, the only other thing I've heard that this might be that made sense to me is the lithium-ion battery inside the microphone. I don't believe it's that. I don't believe it's that. If it is, that's even more damning because that means this microphone clearly exploded. But I've seen people on X, I'll show you an example of one here, where they have that is a lithium ion battery. You can see the layers to it here. And you can see how this kind of might have some layers to it. I just don't think that's what it is. I think it is instead whatever it was that was covering Charlie's body. Right there. But that's the piece that I've been missing from my hypothesis that the explosive charge did not come from his neck at all. It came from below him, taped to his body, strapped to his body. Now, I believe it was meant to look like a chest wound, chest shot. We saw the highlight reel of people in newscasts saying that they thought they saw a chest wound. I don't know, maybe. Or maybe they were sent out to say that. I tend to think the reason they said that is they saw so much activity under the shirt that it didn't make sense that it was a neck shot, because instinctively, intuitively, we know that you don't get a neck wound that causes your shirt to move the way Charlie's shirt moved when he was taken down. But what was supposed to look like a chest shot, I think, malfunctioned. If you look carefully at that picture I put up on X, if you have it pulled up, and again, I deeply apologize, I'm unable to do this. If you look at this picture on X, you can actually see kind of towards the middle of his torso where his pendant was hanging, you can see another couple of small marks on his body. Maybe tomorrow or something, I'll put up one that's a little more clear on that, or I'll highlight it, or I'll make it brighter or something. I added no editing to this. I just clipped it out. This is exactly how I received the image. But I think when it exploded, it hit that necklace and it caused the necklace to shoot up into pull his shirt way up like that. Now, what entered the neck? Was it some sort of directional charge? Was it some sort of object that was propelled from the exploding device? I don't know. Was it the cross or St. Michael's pendant or whatever that went into his neck? I don't know. But you can tell a couple of things from the nature of the wound itself. One thing you can tell is it's not very deep. It's not very deep. It looks like it just kind of goes right here. The other thing you can tell is it's not arterial blood. It's vein. It's venous blood. It's the jugular vein right there, not the artery that runs right next to it. And the reason you can tell that is it's the right color for arterial blood, but it also doesn't spurt like arterial blood does. You know, arterial blood is pumping very fast. And it just, if you see someone get shot in the neck, I mean, it just shoots blood away from him, whereas his just sort of rolled out. That's more in line with venous blood, jugular vein blood, than it is arterial blood, even though both of those tubes, both of those vessels run right there in the same part of the neck. I'm sweating like a pig because I got a fever. Sorry, guys. What this sets up for me is a situation where multiple people would have had to convince Charlie, hey, we're trying something new. We're going to tape one of these things to your midsection here. We'll put something under it so it's not uncomfortable. You know, you don't just like tape a microphone to somebody's body. You know, we'll put an adhesive down and then we'll affix the microphone to that adhesive, or the receiver to that adhesive. And then that was detonated, or that went off. And you can tell, in my opinion, plain as day, that's what happened under the chest. So when I put this picture up, a lot of people said, well, that's not where his microphone was. Well, no kidding. Not at all where his microphone was. But there's one more piece of this that makes a lot of sense that I might be right. And it's that there's wounds to the top, there's damaged skin to the outside, and there's damaged skin underneath, but there's no damaged skin on this side. If you explode something and you want it to go that way, the device itself is going to have a tremendous amount of pull going that way. Because physics is physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You've seen a rocket take off, right? The smoke, the exhaust goes down, the rocket goes up. People are asking for the X account. Let me put it up here. And you can go look at it here. X.com/Baron Coleman. Go there and you'll see the picture I'm talking about. You have to scroll down. Oh, maybe I can pin this. Pinned to my profile. There we go. So now it's pinned to the top of the profile. So you'll see what I'm talking about. And you would see that the energy would come this way and cause the burns and the whatever this way, but whatever the object is would come this way. I believe he was probably rigged to make it look like he got shot over here. And it malfunctioned. And it hit something that then went into his neck. It hit the necklace or hit something and went into his neck. That's just a guess. It could have actually shot a round of some sort up, but that to me is a little more difficult to explain. I don't know the precise mechanics of the how, but I'm confident this image shows a lot about what the how was. That he had something affixed to his body here, and that caused a tremendous amount of damage to his body in that location. But that whatever it was, that padding, whatever this stuff is, took the brunt of the damage. Took the brunt of the damage. Now, I want to go to a different image. Because this image here is the newest image we have of the SUV that shows the broken glass. This was the trap that Candace had set and let people walk right into it. The previous image we had of the SUV did not show this down here, did not show all this broken glass down here. It showed little pieces and shards kind of sprinkled around up here, like you could see these little pieces up here. It showed some in the back seat where Frank was sitting, where just a few of them were scattered around. But it did not show the bulk of it, which was down here. There's no explanation to me short of one of these things exploding. One of these things breaking and being damaged. There's absolutely no explanation for why broken glass, broken black glass with little white pieces of writing on them are collected directly between the bucket seats where Charlie's torso was laying. Whatsoever. There's no explanation for me why this would be down here, based on the story we were told about what happened on the way to the hospital. That explanation fails to explain all this broken glass. Nor do I believe all this broken glass fell off of Charlie as he's laid over these two bucket seats and nobody noticed all this stuff was falling off of him. I refuse to believe that they didn't notice. I refuse to believe that they did not know this was coming off of Charlie's body or was wiped off of Charlie's body, which would help explain why some of it is sprinkled around the back seat, sprinkled around the front seat. And so when I learned that she had this other image and that she was waiting for people to come and say, hey, oh, that's not broken glass. That's just, we don't know what that is. That could be dried, flaked up blood. I heard people saying it was dried, flaked up blood. Well, that's not dried, flaked up blood. I heard people say, maybe somebody dropped their cell phone. Nobody dropped their cell phone. Nobody in the car claims to have dropped it and broken their cell phone. And if they did, you'll know that's not what broken cell phone glass looks like either. And you have to kind of pick at it to get the broken glass to fall off the cell phone anyway. It just, you fall and shatter the cell phone, it remains in one screen. It doesn't fall out. And so my thought was, we've got them. We've got them. Because they did not tell us about the burn on Charlie's chest or the negative space where there was no injury on Charlie's chest. They did not tell us about the broken glass in between the bucket seats. They told us that they had a relatively uneventful ride from either of those perspectives. But Frank Turek gave us a good clue that they knew that burn mark existed. Do you remember his ridiculous story about his ridiculous story about him cutting the shirt off because he wanted to have a place for defibrillators? If you look up, again, I don't know what YouTube is weird about right now. They clearly don't want us talking about this. So we have to be extra cautious tonight. But if you go and you look up on Google Images defibrillator damage or CPR related injuries, where you can see where they've put a paddle on somebody, it looks a lot like the picture that I showed. It looked a whole lot like the picture I showed. Because where the paddle goes on you, there's no damage. But around the paddle, there are burn marks. The skin gets red and burned because you're putting a tremendous amount of electricity through the body. Where the paddles are connected, it doesn't arc. It just goes right into the skin. But around it, you'll get these little arc burns all around it. And that's what the damage looks like. I think they got him in the SUV and thought, holy mackerel, we've got a problem. He's got burns on his chest in a pattern that looks like something was covering it because something was covering it. And because the device did not perform as expected, you end up with these burns all over 3 sides of it. And so he comes up with this ludicrous story, in my opinion, that, I wanted to get his shirt cut off so that they could do defibrillator. There's a second clue, though. Everybody said he was dead at the scene. That was their official story. They tell us this all the time. We take peace that Charlie closed his eyes while he was talking to an audience member. He closed his eyes and he woke up and he saw Jesus. He was dead instantly. Well, then Brian Harpole comes up with this random tidbit of information in one of the podcasts that, no, in fact, they got a heartbeat while they were at the hospital. Well, that's not compatible with having previously been dead at the scene. And then 45 minutes later at the hospital, you just randomly get a heartbeat. And he says, well, the body does weird things. No, the body doesn't do weird things. The body doesn't do weird things like that. If you're dead at the scene, the body doesn't do weird things. The other thing they told us was they didn't know if he had a heartbeat in the car. Well, I go back to this. This takes about, 1 second to put on. Maybe. And when you put it on, you can see this little graph at the bottom. It starts telling you what your heartbeat is. Like right now, my oxygen is 97. My pulse rate's 95 because I'm sick and feel like crap. I usually have a very low pulse. My resting heart rate is overnight, usually in the low 40s. As I sit at my desk, it's in the 60s. It's in the 90s right now because I'm on air and sweating to death with a fever. But you can see the heart rate. You can see the heartbeat. It doesn't make sense that they had it in the car. And again, we know they had it in the car because we see it in the car. This is a picture from the SUV. It's right there. Any person in that SUV could have grabbed it and stuck it on one of Charlie's fingers. You could put it on your earlobe. You could put it on a toe. Anywhere where capillary blood flows through a something that fits inside of this, you will determine whether or not they have a heartbeat. And so the fact that they didn't do that, if indeed they didn't do that, is awfully telling that they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They didn't do what they should have been doing in that moment. And so you had this charred material that looks to be about the same size as the negative space on Charlie that's uninjured. And people say, oh, that's probably blood smeared on there. Okay. Even if it's blood smeared on there, what was taped over it that prevented the blood from running on that particular area? Because it's a clear negative space. Period. End of story. It's a rectangular negative space. Now, it might have a little bend to it because you see his ribs and it moves around the barrel of his chest. So it might not look like it's perfectly rectangular, but I bet if you got up close to it and you analyzed it, it would be pretty close. It'd be pretty close. It would look a lot like this. A negative space about this big, right in this area right here where there's no tissue damage. There's no blood collecting. There's no anything like that. These are parts of the story they have withheld from us. The only conclusion I can draw from that is that they withheld it intentionally because it tends to first exculpate Tyler Robinson as having shot Charlie Kirk from the Losey Center with Granddad's .30-06 in the neck. That's exculpatory evidence, in my opinion. Both the broken glass that they didn't tell us about and this negative space, this negative area on Charlie where he clearly had something taped to his body. You will never convince me otherwise. I will go to my grave believing he had something taped to his chest right there. And both of those facts were left out. And so when Candace and I were talking, I said, look, you're about to go away for 2 weeks. Why not do a show, even though you plan not to do a show tomorrow? Go ahead and do a show. Do it early. And when you do your show, that will start the clock running on TPUSA people needing to come forward. That gives them 2 weeks to figure out what they want to do. Go talk to a lawyer. Maybe try to cut an immunity deal with some U.S. attorney somewhere. Some attorney general of some state, maybe Utah. Not a bad state to start with. But it starts the race to the courthouse because the person who gets to the courthouse first in this situation usually gets the best deal. Because I'm telling you right now, this evidence is overwhelming. That something happened to Charlie Kirk as he sat in that chair that is not explained by a .30-06 to the neck. Something happened to Charlie Kirk on the ground behind the table that's not explained by a .30-06. In 15 seconds that he was on the ground back there, somebody pulled something off of his chest. I'm confident somebody pulled something off of his chest right there. I would guess it's Dan Flood. I don't know that, but that's where Dan was. And he was right in that particular location. And somebody lifted Charlie's arm up, his right arm, where this is right here. And I'm guessing whatever it was that was taped to his chest right there was pulled off. And then his shirt was rolled up. You can see when they're carrying it away, his shirt is rolled up. And they're grabbing him. One person has a grab of his shirt from each side. And they're more worried about keeping that shirt rolled up and in place as they're carrying him than they are getting him medical attention for a wound to the neck. potentially broken vertebrae. They're more worried about holding that shirt in place and carrying him that way, that really negligent way. In this picture, it's really particularly obvious how horrific it was. They're more worried about keeping that shirt rolled up and held in place than they are the patient's spine, the neck, the head. You know, we have a new grandchild. And when you pass off the grandbaby, the first thing you do is when you get it, I mean, I've got 8 kids and a grandchild. I've held a lot of babies. You hold the base of the neck and you put your thumb on one side of the skull and your fingers on the other side of the skull. And that's how you hold a baby. Why? Because they can't hold their head up yet. They don't have the muscular strength to hold up the head. The head is too large for the body at that age. Why? Because we're humans. We're not cows. Cows come out with big bodies and little heads. Humans come out with massive heads and little bodies. I mean, when you put a baby's arms up, the head basically comes to here. Can you imagine if my head was that big? I wouldn't be able to hold it up either. Well, when someone has a neck injury, you should carry them the same way, with the same care and caution. Or you should leave them in a place and let somebody get a cervical collar there, put them on a stretcher, and carry them away. What you should never do when someone has been, you either believe, shot in the neck or somehow injured in the neck like that, what you should never do is carry them with their shirt rolled up from under their armpits with their head just sort of flopping as they go. That's not the way to handle that. That's not how you do that. And so by Candace doing her show today and showing the picture she had of the broken glass and the burnt object, and by me doing this show on the heels of that show at the after party, thank you, Principal, for allowing us to have an early after party tonight. By us doing these shows back to back like this with all this new evidence, well, my evidence, you have to go to X to see, and even X put a sensitivity warning on it. I appealed it, but they didn't take it off. At least they left the post up. You just got to click a couple extra buttons to see the picture. But what it does is it starts the clock ticking. Because when Candace gets back in 2 weeks, this, I can assure you, is not going to get any better for them. It's not going to get any better. It is definitive in my mind Tyler Robinson did not shoot him in the neck. It's nearly definitive nobody did. Now, a lot of people have asked from a legal tactics point of view, why is the defense not raising this? Why would they? Why would the defense raise this issue now? If you're aware of this type of evidence, if you're aware there's broken glass all over the SUV, if you're aware there's burn marks on his body and some sort of negative space, if you're confident Tyler Robinson or Charlie Kirk did not die from a 30-06 round to the neck, why would you raise that at the preliminary level? Why would you not let them believe you think it was a gunshot? They probably can't stand we're doing these shows. The defense. Because once the jury is sworn in, there is no more changing the charges. And let's say Tyler Robinson was involved in some capacity. He was a getaway driver. He brought a gun to the scene. I don't know. I'm not saying he did those things, but let's say those were his jobs. Let's say he was in on some plan to kill Charlie Kirk. I don't know if he was or not. But he was not the gunman. There are charges that could be pressed against Tyler Robinson that would adequately convict him and put him in prison potentially for the rest of his life. The last thing in the world a defense team would want to do is alert the prosecution that their theory is wrong and that they're going to get smoked at trial. Instead, you would want to reel in the prosecution. You would want all the TPUSA hags out there saying that Tyler Robinson did it. You would want people to believe that. You wouldn't want Candace and Barron and Danks and Trigger Smart and Bays and Zach Costello and Jesse on Fire and Valhalla. You wouldn't want all these other podcasters out there, and I'm sure I left some out, but you wouldn't want all these people out there constantly challenging the fact that Tyler Robinson did it, that did not do it, that Tyler Robinson didn't do it, that Charlie Kirk didn't die from a gunshot wound to the neck. Because they can always go back and file a new indictment. They've not sworn in a jury yet. Jeopardy hasn't attached. Stu Peters has done excellent work on this. Someone mentioned him in the comments. Stu Peters has done phenomenal work on this case. You would not want the prosecution to amend the indictment or file a new indictment that has appropriate charges, like assisting, aiding and abetting. I don't know what the charges are in Utah, but that's the last thing you would want. And I hear a lot of people say, well, has the defense contacted you? Well, no, they've not. Why would they? If they ever contact me, they'll probably say, will you shut the hell up? Will you stop? Will you please stop convincing the public that Tyler Robinson didn't do this? We know he didn't do it. We know he didn't do it. But we got to get to a jury with the charges of murder so that we can show the broken glass, so that we can show the injury here, so that we can show that it couldn't possibly be a 30-06, so that we can put our experts up there to say that's not the damage a 30-06 would do. And so just because it would make good podcast content for the defense to come out and start challenging this in pleadings and say, no, we don't think it was a gunshot. I mean, there was a long time where I even kind of bought into that theory that, why didn't the defense just sort of come out and say it wasn't a gunshot? Well, it's because the pleadings aren't evidence. They're not giving up their right later to say it wasn't a gunshot because they refer to the injury as a gunshot in a pleading. They can go to trial, they can swear in a jury, and then they can start putting on evidence that this was not a gunshot. Then they can start putting on the evidence that everything TPUSA did indicates they might have been involved. Then they can put on the evidence that shows, hey, these damages, these injuries are not consistent with a 30-06 wound to the neck. What about the burn marks on the torso? Or what about that damage on the torso? What were they doing under the table? But the thing about a murder charge is there is no statute of limitations. There's no limitation on actions. And so I think everyone involved in this remains in grave danger, probably graver danger the longer the defense allows this to proceed as if it was a gunshot. Because they can come back in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years and charge someone else. They can investigate this differently. Now, I will give you an example of how high up this goes. I'm aware of a very highly ranked and respected elected official, not appointed official, elected official, who did not want some of the information we've presented tonight to come out. And that's all I'll say. Well, I'll say more, but I won't say more than that in terms of being able to identify somebody. But that did not want all this information to come out that we've talked about tonight. Why would a highly ranked elected official care? Wouldn't they just want to get to the truth? Wouldn't they just want to get to the bottom of it? I'll show one more picture. This is something Candace showed today for the first time. This is a new picture in the investigation. These are delivery bags. There's 3 right here that I can see. I think there might be a 4th in the car. Maybe there's only 3. Maybe they all 3 got put back there. You see this name right here, Nate, that picked up these? Nate was present that day. Nate, I believe, is a new employee to TPUSA. Nate's a new employee to TPUSA. His name is Nate Walker. I didn't realize I still have my screen share on. This is him here. The irony that Nate Walker gets hired at TPUSA shortly before Charlie passes away. I'm not suggesting Nate Walker had anything to do with it. But, you know, they try to tell us that it's because of Charlie had hate in his heart towards the LGBT community. His hiring is proof he did not have hate in his heart towards the LGBT community. That's all I'll say about old Nate W. I just noticed that when I saw it in there. But the fact that Nate worked there is pretty good evidence that there wasn't some hate in his heart that just couldn't be negotiated out. I thought that was a little funny when it was sitting back there. Now, I want to run through a couple of other things. Now, I'm going to skip the Harpole stuff. I'm going to skip the Harpole stuff. I want to go to a woman who gave an interview shortly after Charlie Kirk passed away. We've talked about this. It's been played time and time again. This is this woman here. She's the one who says Charlie got shot in the chest. You guys have seen this. I don't have to play it. This is the woman who says Charlie got shot in the chest. This is the interview where she says he got shot in the chest. She later comes back and changes her story and says he got shot in the neck. Well, initially when I saw that, I thought she was some sort of paid operative, right? I'm not so sure. See this woman in the middle here? She's with her. They're all there together. You can see her here on the right. This is the girl on the left who changed her story. I think she thought he got shot in the chest because no shirt moves like that to a gunshot to the neck. So obviously it looked to her like a gunshot to the chest. But it's this woman on the right I want to focus on. Her name is Angie Martin. Angie Martin. I'll show you where Angie gave an interview. This sounds pretty bad, so I'm just going to let it roll for a second so you can kind of get an idea that she's out there doing interviews as well. But this is her right here. Angie Martin, retired police officer from Greater Salt Lake. She gives this whole interview, talks for several minutes. I don't want to play it because it's really irrelevant what she says. It's who she is that matters. She's a retired police officer after 20 years. She found the 2 student witnesses that she was appearing with. Here's another fact about Angie Martin. Angie Martin helped the Phil Lyman campaign. You guys remember Phil Lyman, who was there? A lot of weird stuff around Phil Lyman. I'm sorry, Phil, it's true. This is her in May of 2025 at the Republican convention, helping with Phil Lyman's race for Republican chair after he got cheated on his election for governor against Governor Cox. And there she is in the middle in a Lyman for governor t-shirt. But who else does she know? Who else does she know? Well, here's a weird thing about Angie Martin. Angie Martin was, and I don't know how this works, she was Mrs. Universe 2025 Central America. I don't know why she's Central America if she lives in Utah. I don't know how that works. But she's Mrs. Universe Central America. So now we have a pageant connection. Isn't that weird? Always coming up with pageant connections on these things. What other kind of connection do we have? Well, Angie Martin ran for Senate in Utah. Here she is. I decided to run for Senate as a Republican in District 11. This is the state Senate, not the ones that go to Washington, D.C., but the ones that go to to Salt Lake City. I stand for medical freedom, conservative values, freedom of speech without censorship, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, school choice, the right to bear arms, and upholding the Constitution. As a retired police officer, I believe police officers are a liaison between the people and the government, or the police, as long as they uphold their oath to the Constitution. I do not believe in government overreach. Okay. And here's an image of her checking in to sign the paperwork to run for Senate. Okay, so she's politically connected. She worked for Bill Lyman. She worked for, or she ran for Senate. She was a police officer. Here she is with someone else. And this is an interesting character to me. This is a very interesting character to me. Here she is with a congressman known as Burgess Owens. Look what they're doing down here. See that? Fighting human trafficking. Mrs. Central America 2025 loves to fight human trafficking. So I had to think, well, what is it about Burgess Owens that is fighting human trafficking? Why would taking a picture with Burgess Owens be fighting human trafficking? Well, Congressman Burgess Owens from the greater Salt Lake area, this is his campaign website. It has a whole section on trafficking. Since the day I made the decision to run for office, it has been my goal to combat the terrible crime of human trafficking. Over 25 million people are victims of human trafficking worldwide, and the forced labor industry makes roughly $150 billion annually. Look at all these bills he has sponsored on human trafficking. The Trafficking Survivors Act, the No Travel for, we'll call them transporters. No Travel for Transporters Act, the Earn It Act, enacting limits to justice for these people. Human Transportation Prevention Act, the Child Rescue Act, the Human Transportation Awareness Training Act, the End Child Exploitation Act. That's like all he does in Congress is fight this particular issue. Don't believe me? That was his campaign site. Let's go to his congressional site. A heinous crime that impacts people of all ages and communities worldwide, estimated over 25 million people. So it's just the same stuff. Congressman Burgess Owens is focused on pursuing awareness, prevention, and survivor relief policies that abolish these heinous crimes, target traffickers, and restores the lives and livelihoods of those impacted. And here are articles about the great work Burgess Owens has done on this issue. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Seems pretty obsessed with the issue. Well, that's interesting because he actually founded a charity, believe it or not, a 501c3 charity. What do you think it does? That's right, class. That's right. He has a charity called A Second Look at Burgess Owens' Second Chance for Youth nonprofit. I want to show you this because I want to show you when he founded Second Chance for Youth nonprofit. He founded it in June of 2019. We've talked about how the Jeffrey Einstein of the Einstein Files and the Einstein Island and the Einstein Plane, we've talked about when he died, when he passed away, allegedly. I don't think he did, but when he allegedly passed away. Anybody want to remember when that was? It was August of 2019. And he establishes this in June of 2019. The interesting thing about Burgess Owens, though, is he has no reason to be in Congress. Campaign built largely on the foundation of his personal narrative, the descendant of a slave. He found fame and fortune as a professional football player, only to later fall victim to his own sense of invincibility. He struggled through bankruptcy and despair before his redemption through hard work and self-reliance. He was once a liberal Democrat. Now he's a proud conservative. And since retiring from the NFL, has devoted his time to mentoring and improving the lives of the next generation of leaders. He hangs around troubled kids. He founded Second Chance for Utah, a Utah-based nonprofit organization helping troubled and incarcerated youth. In other words, yet again, sort of involved in this story, we have a guy who is obsessed with this industry. Who's obsessed with this industry. Now he goes from bankrupt, down and out, to founding a charity in June of 2019 dealing with this issue. And then within a few months, just a few months after founding the charity, decides, you know what I should do? Formerly bankrupt and troubled person though I am, I should run for Congress. And he wins. He wins. Now, I will say, as a black man in Utah, I bet he had the deck stacked against him when he started, but he won. I go back time and time again. You remember Erica Francevey, her mom, Lori Francevey, but under the name Lori Abbas, started a charity with one of these human transportation fighters. She started hers in early 2020. This guy started his in mid 2019. It seems like about the time Jeffrey, we'll call him Einstein, gets arrested, incarcerated, and allegedly dies, you have a surplus of these charities popping up all over the place. There was one that popped up in Alabama. A guy named Jared Hudson was running for the United States Senate here recently. About the same time, 2019, 2020, he decides he wants to get into the human transportation business. He's going to go fight in human transportation. And it's about the same time that TPUSA was infiltrated at the highest levels. About the same time Erica Francevey shows up. And they get married. And they spend a few days together each year because he travels 300 days a year, and then he dies. And now she runs everything. There was a question when somebody did a GRAMA request. That's how Utah refers to Open Records Act requests. In the federal government, we call them FOIA requests. Most states have a way to get records. These were some text messages sent together. So-and-so's asked me to put together a small reopening ceremony for the courtyard. It's tentatively slated for Wednesday at noon. Oh, sorry. This is not the one we were looking for, Daisy. Oh, you said page 25. I don't see a page 25. I just have one page there. Oh, I do have a page 25. Excuse me. I apologize. Here we go. There was some big wigs that wanted to show up to the event when they announced it. This is news to me. Does anyone know the name of the senators? Well, it's important to know that when you're talking to lay people, they don't know the difference between a senator and a congressman usually. Most people cannot name their two senators and their congressmen. They certainly can't name their two United States senators, their congressman, and their state senator and their state representative. Almost nobody can do that. It's like 1% of any population can do all that. So-and-so said they mentioned Curtis, but not another name, but said there would be two senators. We only have two, Curtis and Lee. I was just assuming state senators, not U.S. congressman senators. So that shows you right there, they have no idea what they're talking about. There's no such thing as a congressman senator. We don't know who those people were, but it makes you wonder. Makes you wonder who it was. Was it Burgess Owens? I don't know. But I am totally weirded out by the fact that everybody around TPUSA, everybody around this event in Utah, they all seem to have some like first degree of separation to the human trafficking industry. I will go on the record. I know not a single person in this industry, and I know a lot of people. I know people in politics. I know people in business. I know people in the community. I know people in nonprofit work, charity work. I know nobody who works in this industry. Nobody. But if you're at TPUSA and you're having a TPUSA event, Everybody is in this industry. Goat water. Whoever gave me the $50 and told me to go buy goat water, I bought it. This is not a paid advertisement. It's just a delicious, delicious water. Now, I want to introduce you to another guy who gave an interview talking about chest shots. I think we've played this. I know other podcasts have played this as well, but I want to play this real quickly because there's another podcast Daisy found where he says one of the most interesting things I've heard in this case so far. But I want to give you a refresher of who this guy is. His name's Deron Brunson. Deron Brunson.
Probably maybe 4 or 5 tiers up. 1,
Roll
maybe
back.
3. I was probably to his right, about maybe 2:30, 12 o'clock, 2:30, maybe about 2:45.
Okay.
If I'd been 2:45, probably about. If you look at the stage and you look at about maybe 3 o'clock from his position, about 3 o'clock, 2:30. That's where I was. I was right at him, and I was looking at him when I heard. It looked like it was a direct shot to the heart. It looked like right where his heart is, it started going red. He fell back and went to his side. Then I looked down at the crowd, and it looked like the crowd, they all went to their knees really fast.
So this is another person, just like the girl we showed earlier, who believes he was shot in the heart. At least when he's telling this story, he believed he was shot in the heart. Again, I don't necessarily like it. My initial reaction was these guys are lying and they were plants and they were in on it and they were supposed to plant the heart narrative. Or I don't necessarily think that anymore. I think they saw the shirt move the way it moved and thought something must have hit him in the chest. No shirt moves that way. But I want to go to a later interview here. I want to go to a later interview because this later interview is so bizarre about what he said. And I want you to consider what I hypothesized today about what happened to Charlie Kirk and why it is that one of these might have been shattered in the process. So let me share the screen and I'm going to let you listen directly to this guy as he explains.
You were thinking the sound came down, like point to where you think.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the sound came from right over here. We'll see
here.
Yeah, that came from below me. I'm kind of up here. The sound came from
So it came
there.
a little bit to your right.
Yeah.
Like maybe down in this section here. That's where you heard the sound come from.
Yeah, that's where I
So you
heard
were
the sound.
looking to see if the shooter was going to be attacked.
Oh yeah, I was looking to see if the shooter was going
And
to
you
be
were looking
attacked.
over in this area here because
Yeah.
you figured there was a guy here that did the shooting.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
That's interesting. Is he going to double down on that? Is he going to stick with that story or is he going to back off of that? Because that's not what we were told happened. But this is an eyewitness who said that's where he heard the sound come from down by the tent.
So I know that the sound of the gun came from below me.
Okay, so you're up here.
And I'm up there and I'm looking down
Yeah.
and it came from below me. And I'm thinking, it didn't come from above. It didn't come from my level. It came from
So go
below
ahead
me.
and point this out. It didn't come from.
So it didn't come from anywhere up here because the sound would have come down. The sound came up to my ears. So I was looking, when I watch a couple of videos and pictures.
So you don't think you were hearing reflection. You think
No.
you were hearing direct sound.
Yeah, direct sound. Yeah.
Because there's nothing down here to reflect the
Yeah, it just
gunshot
went out
over
like that.
above.
You could feel that it came up.
You could feel that it came up. Well, is he going to abandon this later in the interview or is he going to triple down?
From his vantage point, he could actually see the
No,
roof of the building.
no. From his vantage point, he couldn't see the building. And so when you watch different angles of it, he looks like he got shot almost eye level. Something that was almost eye level, not higher, because it's not going to be too high. So I got to thinking, what kind of sophisticated technology we got? Is it possible that they could develop a something that can fire a bullet that can be controlled, remote control, and that they could actually maybe put it in the back of a speaker? So, because I'm thinking the speakers that were there where Charlie is, they're in the direct line of fire, and it's below me. When I heard the gunfire, it sounded like that's the area that it came from, and I'm thinking, is it possible that whoever did this invented something they could put in the back of the speaker that you can control the shot of the bullet, remote control, and then design the speakers so that the hole looks like that's where a speaker jack or something goes in there, and put a mechanism in the back of the speaker that could fire a bullet. So they put a mechanism in the back of the speaker that could fire a bullet that can be controlled remotely.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but he's pretty confident the sound came from below him. So am I. You guys, I saw in the comments, a lot of people said, get John Bray on, get John Bray on. John Bray's done a lot of sound analysis on this. And one of the interesting things he noticed when he's doing his sound analysis is that the sound is stronger on the right-hand side of Charlie than it is on the left-hand side of Charlie. The sound is stronger on this side than it is on that side. Almost as if he had something here and he's sitting like this, his body would then muffle it. The torso would muffle the sound on this side, but it would go out that way. And it would also cause the shirt to do all kinds of crazy stuff, so that a lot of people who were initially interviewed would say, I think he got shot in the chest. I mean, that makes more sense to me than him getting shot with a 30-06 to the neck. That makes way more sense to me than him getting shot with a 30-06 coming from the Losi Center, because the sound obviously would not come from that area. Now, I think I'm going to leave it there today. I don't want my speculation on Burgess Owens and my speculation on the chest shot and all that. I don't want all that getting lost. That was just me. I need to do that story at some point, and we had some time, so I did it. There's something with that congressman. I don't know what it is, but there's something with it. He doesn't like these podcasts, I can assure you. And I don't know why he cares. He is, I heard, not running for re-election. He's going to retire. He was only in office like 6 years. I think after 6 years or 5 years or something, you can draw retirement. So he was there long enough to pick up the congressional retirement, which is really sexy, by the way. It's a nice retirement. So he was there long enough to pick up the retirement. Now he's going to go off and do something else. It'll be really interesting to see where he goes next, what he ends up doing. And what do we learn? I think the biggest takeaway tonight is, if I'm Mikey McCoy, I'm Brian Harpole, Rick Cutler, Dan Flood, I think I run. I don't walk to an attorney's office this week. And I think I sit down under attorney-client privilege, and I think I explain everything. And I say, what do we do? Because I think they know stuff. I think it's too obvious this doesn't make sense, this story that we've been told. I think you have to sit down with somebody and get independent advice. Now, where do you go? I mean, it looks like this may be a pretty widespread conspiracy that goes all the way to the top of government. So where do you go to be safe? Well, I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you're so convinced that you guys are going to get away with something, whatever it is that happened. I'm assuming something happened. Not calling you guys murderers. But in the event that is broken glass in the SUV, and in the event there's something that was taped to his side, and that there's tissue damage all around whatever it was that was affixed to the right side of his torso, and it led to the that area of his torso not being damaged while everything around it was. In the event we're right about that, you guys need to go to somebody. One of you has a conscience. We're talking about the death of a human being. The death of a human being. One of you needs to make your way to a lawyer's office and get help. If I'm right. And that help needs to be coming clean with the whole story. Will your life be in danger? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, certainly could be. But you know your soul is in danger right now. And what does it profit a man to have the whole world and lose his soul? There's wisdom in those words. There's a lot of wisdom in those words. You guys need to figure this out. One of you needs to come forward, because I can assure you it's not going to get any easier on you from here. Because while the defense may not benefit, the defense of Tyler Robinson may not benefit from us doing this podcasting, it's not going to stop. And there is additional information. It's going to keep coming out. You guys had no idea we would get a hold of all these photos from inside the car. You guys had no idea there were additional photos of Charlie floating around that have not yet been seen, and that there may even be more. You've got low-level police officers that are asking questions. You've got members of the prosecution team that are asking questions. You guys screwed up. It did not work. It didn't work. If I'm right and there was a conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk, and I think I am, I don't know for 100% sure. So again, I'm not calling you guys murderers, but if I'm right and you are, then it didn't go as planned. Whatever was supposed to happen didn't happen the way it was supposed to. And it's led to now a 9.5, almost 10-month investigation over the airwaves, over the internet, YouTube, X, Rumble, Spotify, and more. And it's only a matter of time before it makes its way into people who can jam you up pretty bad, legally. I'm telling you, I won't say what police department. There are people in different police departments that do not believe the story. There are people in the prosecution office that don't believe the story. There are people in the hospital that don't believe the story. And if you think we're sitting around not investigating anything, you're out of your mind. It's not going to get any better. This is the shot across the bow. This is the warning shot. This is the, hey, you've got a couple weeks before Candace comes back. Now's a good time to figure out your life. Now's a really, really good time to figure out how you want to move forward with this. I'm told from some insiders at TPUSA that there are a couple of employees in particular who are really, really struggling right now with this. And one of those employees who's really struggling with this, listen to your conscience. Don't off yourself. That's not going to solve anything. And there's concern about that with some of these people. Don't go that route. It would be a tragedy, an absolute tragedy, if some sort of injury befell somebody, or some sort of attack on somebody, or somebody doing something like that, something permanent and fatal happened as a result of this investigation. It just compounds tragedy on top of tragedy. Someone's already dead. You can't bring him back, but you can start the process of justice. And so I'm pleading with you, genuinely pleading. Don't be the last one to the courthouse. Don't be the last one to seek advice from a lawyer. Because the last one doesn't get a very good deal. The first one that gets a good deal. It's the first one that gets a good deal. Be the first one. Be the first one. Again, just to clarify, I cannot say beyond a reasonable doubt or with certainty that there was any conspiracy that involved any of these people to kill Charlie Kirk. I'm just saying the evidence, as I see it, in my opinion, starts to look like that. And if I'm right about how I read that evidence, one of you needs to be the first one. Don't let Candace come back before something happens, because it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well at all. I do want to read through a few of the chats, because there were some people who did some of the chats before I had an opportunity to tell people I wasn't going to do any super chats. I actually asked Daisy, how do we turn these things off for a show? She didn't know either. I tried to figure it out for the member show the other day. I couldn't figure it out because I had to go early that night. And tonight I am sick. Like, I am sick. I am going to jump off of here and go eat a bowl of chicken soup and go to bed. That's my plan for this evening. I'm supposed to be at a function with the kids all day tomorrow. I don't know that I'm going to be able to make it. If I don't feel any better than I do now, there's no way I'll make it, because it's an outdoor event and I'll die. If you like the show, click the like button. If you are not a subscriber, by all means, welcome to subscribe. We have a new channel, Baron Coleman Clips. You can, I'm going to pull that off right there. You can go to youtube.com/@Baron Coleman Clips. We have an editing process that is putting together some fantastic clips over there of this program. Some of the opening statements will be made into clips. Now, there were some other clips where we just grabbed like 15 minutes and put them up. We're not doing that anymore. These are highly edited. They're entertaining. They move quickly, and they kind of give you a highlight. We don't highlight the whole show, but we'll give you a highlight of one of the segments. So head over there and do that if you want to check that out. If you're looking for some merch, we have some great merch. I had a text from a friend of mine today and said, hey, I bought my first Real Baron podcast piece of merch. And I said, you're going to love it. It's high quality stuff. I'm wearing one now. This is one of my favorite long sleeve t-shirts to wear. So you can check that out. The merch store is fantastic. I'll show you what it looks like. This is great. So you go to the website and you click merch, and then you click view all, and it takes you to our full store here. We got our #1 fan lineup. We have, my wife was actually wearing this today, the Curious Mind shirt. She looked great in it. Looked great in anything, but she looked particularly great in that. We've got sweatshirts. We have this Baronism shirt I like a lot. This will just give you an idea of some of the fun we have here on this program. We've got a baby lineup, little bull butters for babies. Sorry, grumblers. We gave you your own merch, and then we stopped simulcasting to Rumble. This is probably one of our top sellers, the Holy Mackerel shirt. I have no idea why. Love you, my bee. Love you, my bee. We got that. So there's a lot of fun stuff in here. A lot of really fun. Got the famous on-air sign. Got the old school classic RBP lineup. Christ is King indeed. A lot of fun stuff up here. So if you ever wanted to don the merch, there's your opportunity to do so there. But I will roll through some of the comments. I am not going to stay very long. I am sick. I have no idea what my fever is, but I've been like sweating profusely this whole show. That's disgusting, I know, and I apologize. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I feel terrible. You can feel the emotion coming from Candace in that episode. God is working through her, through you, and through all of us that never stop asking questions. Keep fighting the good fight. Christ is King indeed. Hi, Mrs. Coleman. Well, Mrs. Coleman will appreciate that. I can assure you she'll appreciate that. Hi, Mr. B and team, sending love and prayers from South Africa. Yes, the flag with lots of colors. What is it? Ons is lief vir Julie. Afrikaans for we love you. Oh, well, thank you. We love you more. They wanted to sell it as a gunshot wound from a 30-06 to the chest. It went wrong. I agree. Lapel shifted, exploded, not through the chest as expected, hence paper emergency. Gunshot wound to the chest would explain Mike Glass. Got at work equals awake. Let me say real quickly about that, because I am of the mind, I'm starting to become more and more convinced there were actually 2 road devices on Charlie that day. I could be wrong about that, but I think I'm right. There was something strapped to his chest. I'm convinced of that. On the right side of his chest, below his right nipple, going back from his right nipple. Again, if you want to see a picture of it, x.com/Baron Coleman. You'll see it there. But I don't know the mechanism, the precise mechanism of exactly what hit. My sinuses are killing me. I don't know the precise mechanism of exactly what hit Charlie in the neck, but I agree with you that I think it was an operation that went terribly wrong. Terribly, terribly wrong. What if researching how to eliminate CK, they saw that YT, PET in testing, and because they compared explosion to 30-06, they chose to use the same term for their story. Oh, the YouTube PET in test. I don't think the people who pulled this operation off are out there researching on YouTube. Like if you're going to kill someone with a PETN charge hidden in a device in their body, you're more sophisticated than a random YouTube watcher. Not like you're watching YouTube going, oh, that's a good idea. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Said you go to UVU, but wouldn't tell us when. Will you be present at the pretrial hearing? No, I don't think so. I'll be present at the pretrial hearing. I'm very interested who will be, though. I'm very interested who will be. Like, I know Erica hadn't gone to any of the stuff, and it may just be that the travel logistics would be a nightmare. I actually kind of understand that. I've given her a hard time about not going, but I kind of understand that if she chooses not to go. I mean, I think she would have to show up for the trial, I would think. I don't know. But I don't know that she would have to show up for the prelim. But so I'll be interested to see if she's there. I'll be interested to see if anyone else from TPUSA is there. Like, is Tyler Boyer there? Is Andrew Colvett there? Blake Sneff. I mean, some of these people that work with Charlie on a daily basis, will they show up? I don't know. I'll be interested to see who from Tyler Robinson's family shows up, because it's been kind of the same crew at all the hearings for him so far. You know, granddad, mom, dad, maybe a few other people in the family. But so I'll be interested to see who shows up from that family. So I will not be there. I don't think logistically that would be smart for me to go at that time, because I would want to get in and out of UVU at a time when people didn't really know I was going. Just so that I could do what I wanted to do on campus and around town without being worried that someone's going to be following me around or something. So no, I'm not going to be there. My B, I'm going to need you to go extra hard today for the jury. We are so close to knowing who, how, and why. Don't let off the gas. Have a great weekend. I apologize. I wish I was healthier tonight. I wanted to be fired up. I wanted to be like full on the gas. I am cooked. Like, my body is cooked right now. I do not feel good. I don't get sick very often, but man, when I do, I'm a big old whiny baby. Could that burnt cardboard be the packing for the PET and powder inside the road mic? Paper didn't disintegrate. Burn on initial charge. Caught in shirt. Yeah, I mean, it's possible whatever that burnt thing was actually in the housing, but that leaves open the question of where's the thing that was taped to his body, because there was something there taped to his body. We don't know where that is. Maybe they stuffed it in their pocket and ran off with it. But I don't know. I mean, you're presupposing PETN. I'm starting to lean C4. Next week, I'll explain to you why I'm leaning C4. I have documentation that would seem to support C4 if it had anything to do with AES. So we'll cover that. We'll get to that. And the size. I mean, the size of that piece just fits perfectly for what needed to be right there. Not me sobbing during our principal's outro. Baron, thank you for your authenticity and your work covering the case. Your service is much appreciated and is saving the world. Go Max Sir Baron. I'm doing my best out here. Doing my best. Had to step away for months. Chill. You have been gone for a while. Your continued work has kept me going through a hard season. Your dedication means more than you will ever know. Lifting you and your family up in prayer always. Christ is King. Indeed. I sure appreciate that. I sure do appreciate that. Can you say happy birthday, Artemis? And Christ is King. Happy birthday. I hope everything's treating you well on this fine birthday. Do you see the judge, Tony Graff, is the judge in that viral Utah Lego case? I did see that. A lot of commenters have mentioned that over the last few weeks. Story fuels the perception the entire institutions can protect themselves rather than seek the truth. I agree with that. I agree that's what that case looks like. What a day. Matt and TR hearing, then CO, now RBP. Yeah, I thought about covering the results of the hearing. Oh my gosh, my sinuses hurt. I thought about covering the results of the hearing. But so many other people have covered it so well. Matt from Trigger Smart, for example, did an excellent job today on that. So why am I going to just repeat what he said? He did a good job. Wonder how many other men have handler wives. At TPUSA, a lot. Or are you talking about around the country, even more? I think a lot. Honestly. Do you think TR having public defender is part of the cover-up? What happened to the original plans of hiring a defense attorney? Defense attorneys are expensive. You know, a capital case like this, an adequate capital team hired by yourself is going to be a 7-figure proposition. Not a lot of people have $1 million laying around. So it's almost better to let the public defender handle it. I'm a boomer and I'll have that #1 fan in Maine trophy, please. You can have it. You got to go get it made. I'm not going to give it to you. Ivermectin 12 milligrams and NAC for 5 days. I never had COVID because of this, and it works for flu too. Get well soon. I don't think I have a flu. There's some nasty bug going around. I think Candace has the same thing, actually. Around here in particular, I've heard a lot of people that have bad sinus pain and low fever. I was talking to my son about it today because he walked in. He's 18 years old. He looked at me like, "You look like hell." He didn't quite use those words, but it essentially what he said. And I said, "Yeah, man, I've got this bug going around." I described my symptoms, and he said, "Oh, I got a friend that has that right now." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great. Great, good to know." Wow, Langhorn. There are now 20 members that get to watch our fantastic member shows, and they're fun. Our member shows are fun. They're fun. They're really a good time. I did one yesterday, as a matter of fact. Get well. We love you. And remember, Jesus loves you the most. He doesn't love me the most. He loves you the most. He loves you the most. Man, you guys, I'll read through a few more of these. I think by the time I get to these, most everybody was on notice that I wasn't going to be reading very many. And then I'll scroll through and hit a few more, and then I'll pack it up. TPUSA's own Pick Up the Mic T says it best. Some moments demand courage. Others demand a voice. Candace and Barron have both. Unlike the trolling grifters selling merch from their underbridge. Bloody Mike shirt, no thanks. I came across that picture today. I've been looking at old X feeds going back in time. I came across that picture from December of the TPUSA event that had the tent where people were taking selfies under the tent. That was a reenactment of where Charlie died. That was a thing. Somebody at TPUSA was like, "I got a great idea." And it got worse from there. Somebody's idea was to have the tent. You've never had this water. It's fantastic. My daughter went and picked me some up today. She's wonderful. I just want to say hello. I love you. Thank you for all you do in persuading our principals. Share more photos. You're the man. Christ is King. P.S. Your shoulders are missed. Get better. My shoulders. What does that mean? Oh, in my hoodie? Yeah, you saying I look like a wuss in a t-shirt? I don't think it's that bad. Fellow Tennessean, watch and feel better. Doing my best, L-Bug. I hope you don't catch this if you're close. One of two. Want to celebrate with the jury that Candace read my comment again. Anti-leash. Last week, please don't punt chihuahuas. Now today, Mikey knew. Changed the spelling of my name as I died a little inside when she mispronounced it. Okay, I'm done self-serving. No, please, by all means. Celebrate with us. Celebrate with us. We'll have a good time. Let me see here. Did we have an anti-lead? Oh, here's our follow-up. I knew it was one of two. Two of two. Mikey effing knew. He would have been promised the world to betray his friend, hence the amazing narrative, then backburned when CO unwittingly told EK he leaked. Guilt-ridden, I hope the nights for him resemble an Edgar Allan Poe writing. Lord have mercy, that's hard. That's tough. Mikey? If you knew, you got 2 weeks. This is not going to get better for you. You've got 2 weeks. There's a very bad flu going around. I'm in Coos Bay, Oregon. Went on a cruise ship. Norwegian came back with pneumonia. Sinus infection. Very, very bad. Oh, I hope I don't get pneumonia. I hope I don't get pneumonia. X has been crazy. You need some hate blockers. I don't care what the haters say. I don't care. They're irrelevant to me. Fair, no joke. I emailed you about this exact idea about an hour ago. No joke. Your brain power is contagious in the best ways. We love you. Thanks for improving our IQs. Email me about what idea, Miss Weedman? An hour ago. Wasn't that 420? Oh, I was not looking at emails then. Oh my gosh. I feel like my brain is going to shoot out of my right eye. Is that a thing? Can that happen? I hope that can't happen. Oh my goodness gracious sakes alive. Never been proud of our freedom of speech. Never been so proud of our freedom of speech, granted by our founding fathers and protected by our vets and the brave podcasters willing to use it. I pray 2026 is the year we retain our First Amendment rights. Oh, I got bad news for you. I got terrible news. Absolutely horrific news. Hey, Baron, been watching every single episode since September. Question, was Mikey also adopted from Russia? God bless you and your family. Pax Christi, Vivo Cristo Rey. Viva Cristo Rey. Was Mikey adopted from Russia? Well, while we're speaking Spanish, creo que no. But I don't know. Quizá. Pero creo que no. I don't think so, is what I told her. I don't think so. Perhaps, maybe, but I don't think so. All the evidence proves members of TPUSA planned out this murder. In your opinion, Adriana, we got to couch that with your opinion. I can't be saying that. I might think it, but I can't say it. We see feds, police helped cover it up. Where do we go from here? Can't believe they got rid of the car. That itself looks like a crime scene. It looks more than a crime scene. It more than looks like a crime scene. It more than looks like a crime scene. So let me say something that's going to surprise a few people here, and I don't know what to make of it. I am as willing as anyone to jump on the bandwagon that our greatest ally might have had something to do with this. It makes sense to me. I mean, they benefit the most, right? Who benefits? It's the old Latin, cui bono. But you have to leave open the possibility based on a single fact that maybe they were being framed for it. And that fact is Andrew leaking or sending to Joe Kent the text messages from Charlie saying that the Jewish donors lived up to all the stereotypes and he was left no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. I don't think, in my mind, the way I look at this evidence, I don't believe it's possible if there was an opt to remove Charlie Kirk that came from TPUSA or had involved TPUSA in some way. I don't believe it's possible Andrew wasn't somehow involved. So why would he send that message? Why would he involve the federal government, our intelligence communities, the Office of the Department of National Intelligence, pointing a finger to a cover-up? There are only two possibilities that I can come up with. One is he was not involved at all. He was shocked and he thought it might be our greatest ally. Or he thought they might be involved somehow. That's option A. But option B is he was trying to frame them. We still don't know who leaked that text to Candace. And I wonder to what extent there are legs there. And I don't know whether there are or not. But I just wonder. Christ bless and keep you, Baron. Thank you. Appreciate that. It kind of looks like a Mepilex dressing. They could have secured the road underneath it. What is Mepilex? Let's look it up, shall we? Mepilex dressing. Yeah, kind of does, doesn't it? Yeah, it kind of does, actually. Let me show you here an example of Mepilex dressing. Let me get rid of the pop-up there. So this is one item. Not bad, not bad. Here's some different ones. We have foam adhesive. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Does Mepilex singe? Maybe I'll go buy a little bit. Maybe I'll order some off Amazon and see. Does it singe when burned? Because that stuff looks singed. Baron, call me crazy, but I see what could be the white O or D from the word road on that trunk in the back in the seat check. Could be biased, but I can't unsee it now. Christ is King. In the seat track. Let's pull it up and look real quick. So this is the picture he's referencing. O or D in the seat track. I mean, look at the white. That's just. Some more under here. Under this Fiji. I don't see what you're talking about. The O or the D. But maybe. Maybe. Let's see here. Quick clarification. When was that new photo taken? It was taken while they were dragging him away from the table and getting ready to shove him in the SUV like a side of beef. That's when it was taken. Was Charlie defibrillated before that photo? No. There's no way he was defibrillated under that table. They didn't have time. It's a very important clarification. If he was not defibbed before the photo, your theory is correct. Well, I tend to agree. And there's no way he was. I think that photo was either 24 or 26 seconds after the Big Bang. Very, very, like I've timed it out and looked, and it's like 24 or 26. I can't remember which. But it's you know, they pick him up like 16 seconds after the bang. They pick him up, and then they're walking under the Hall of Flags. They're like penguin shuffling with him under the Hall of Flags, and his neck is flopping. That's when the picture was taken. Medical polyurethane foam. See, Dimora silicone foam dressing without border. Oh, we're on to something here. That sounds good. Dimora silicone foam dressing without border. All right. Now we're on to something here. Oh, you might be on to something here. You might be on to something here. Yeah, maybe. 6 inch by 6 inch. So you could put this on. It's adhesive. So you could put this onto his body, put the mic on top of it, or put whatever that device was on top of it. And it would not, it wouldn't cause a problem. You wouldn't want one of these mics just cruising under your body, just like rub it up against your body. That wouldn't be uncomfortable. You'd want something under it if you're going to fix something to your body like that. That's interesting. I'm not opposed to that. Ryan Panaciti. I think the object that Candace thought was burnt cardboard on the floor of the car is bloodstained NAR compressed gauze. You look up a photo, you'll see these similarities. All right, I'm willing to look that up. NAR compressed gauze. Just get some images here. No. I'm saying no. Oh my gosh. You ever had a sinus infection? It comes and goes. Like it sometimes it just really gets going and sometimes it relaxes a little bit. Oh my goodness, a master class? You're too kind. You're too kind. Okay, so this is interesting. This is similar to the way I kind of think about it. Shape charge exploded, necklace triggered, sliced jugular vein, easy to stop bleed, handheld with quick clot in, fanny pack, shirt rolled, thrown away in hazard waste hospital. Your thoughts? I don't know. I didn't see anything that would have broken his neck before he got in the SUV. I'm so happy you guys are going on with this. Prayers for the case to bring justice. I'm a SCI cousin and a quad. I know they carried him off and shouldn't have been moved. We are all cheering for you guys. Justice for Charlie. Thank you, Auntie Penelope. That's awfully kind. So this gets back to kind of my theory. The object that was shot out of the mic accidentally hit the necklace by mistake and ricocheted into the concrete ceiling underpass. They repaired quickly. Shard of glass from the mic hit his neck. Thoughts? No. If you look at the video of them coming into the event before, the ceiling is in bad shape. So I don't think there's something that shot off of his body into the ceiling. I mean, I'm open to it, I guess. 25-year OR nurse looks similar to hemostatic gauze with blood on it. Blood turns black on hemostatic gauze due to oxidation of iron in hemoglobin and the chemical reaction between the blood and the gauze's clotting agents. So let's look that up. Hemostatic gauze. I don't think so. I mean, maybe. Here, I'll show you the images just so you guys don't think I'm hiding it from you. The problem I have with it is it looks charred. It looks burned. And that's not nearly thick enough. Those just aren't thick enough. I mean, that thing was, a quarter-inch thick or more. I mean, this would be the closest, but that didn't even look like it to me. I don't know. Why was it charred? It wasn't just black. It was like looked charred. Like when you light a pizza box on fire and you blow it out, it's got those kind of charred edges around it. This is what I needed to hear. Wow, great job so far, Baron. What a bunch of a-holes. Oh. So this is a good question. Who taped it on him? So very early on, I heard a story, and I cannot find it for the life of me. Maybe Daisy can help me find it before Sunday's show. Very early on, I heard a story that right before he went and took the pictures with the kids, they took him in some bathroom or something at UVU, and several people went in there with him, and they got him ready. I think that's where it would have happened. If I'm right, I mean, I'm open to being wrong. You know the difference between us and them? I just want to know the truth. I'm open to being wrong. I am totally open to being wrong. I don't feel like the other side is open to being wrong. They have a narrative, they're stuck with it, and they will not get off of it. Local honey, unsulfured black strap molasses, only organic, not grandma's brand. Will help you feel better. I'm sorry you're sick. It sounds sugary. Sounds very sugary. I had a guy in law school, I had a friend in law school that used to drink molasses out of the jar. I thought that was ludicrous. We've all felt this way, Suzanne, until we find our community. For many years, I felt alone with my thoughts of conspiracy theories, especially since 2009. when I first read Michael Rupert's Crossing the Rubicon. Thank you kindly. Christ is King. Also, any book recommendations? Yeah, I've got a bunch. I'm working on a book list. I'll get it together. I keep saying that, but I really will. Hope you've been able to locate any pictures of the Hezbollah pager explosion aftermath. It's different equipment, but it might be able to fill in some of the gaps regarding the remnants of the damage to the individuals. The difference with that is they weren't putting a directional charge. They weren't putting a directional charge. Oh my gosh, it's doing one of those things where it's about to jump out of my head. They were just, that's different. That's different. That's different. All right, let me, Ricardo. Wish I had a two-tone Ricky Ricardo jacket and an autographed picture of Andy Devine. Oh, sorry, Ricardo. But Baron, is just me or to you, Candace, Coach Colin, other podcasters get sick all at the same time? Should we be worried? Been here since October 25 and claiming the number one spot for Royal Turnbridge, Wells, Kent, Garden of Eden. I believe that's yours. I don't think anyone else there knows who I am. It sounds small. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that. Coach is, I think, either about to go live at 7 or just went live. So when we wrap up, if you guys want to go invade him, let's see if he's on right now. Maybe we'll go invade his chat. This will be fun. Where is Coach? There he is. He is live. Let's see what. Oh! Invade his chat.
Is this what?
This will be fun.
Really? Is this
Where
happening
is
at the
Coach?
same time? We did not plan this.
There he is.
What?
He is live. Let's see what.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Invade his chat.
Is this what?
This will be fun.
Really? Is this
It's
happening?
an
at the same
infinity
time?
mirror!
We did not plan this.
There he is.
What?
He is live. Let's see what.
Hey, Baron. Oh, what's going on? We were
Hey,
talking
what's
about
going on?
lemur hands. We were talking about Is lemur this hands. what? Really?
Well, that's as much fun as I've had on a podcast in a long time. A very, very, very long time. That was hilarious. That was great, Coach. You shouldn't have gotten off of it with the lemur hands. We were having fun. Let's all go invade him. I'm going to go invade him when I jump off here. Guys, hey, don't forget, Jesus loves you. I'll be back Sunday night. I am sick as a dog. I'm going to rest this weekend. Thank you for understanding about the super chats. I read every one, so I will spend some time tonight. I will open them up, go through each and every one of them. I promise you, that's what I do, even when I have to skip around when time gets short. I'm going to take care of that. But in the meantime, I'll see you at Coach's channel. Bye, guys. See you back Sunday night.